So I was trying to do my intro the other day.
So today we're going to be taking a look at the Bauer 2000 PSI Power Washer. Dang hockey players, didn't your parents teach you better? Alrighty, so let's kind of catch you up to speed with so far what it took to get to here. So the unit itself is about just 5 screws, and you got 2 cotter pins that hold on each of the wheels. So the handle actually snaps in quite like you have for either a tent, or if you're expanding something that's like a flagpole or anything else, has just one of those little spring clips right here on the sides. So the main body part was actually in the bottom of the box, and this was just kind of laying on top of it. There was no foam or anything on the inside of the box securing the unit in. Besides that, all we had was the user manual as well, and assembly was a breeze. There was not really any instructions required or needed, or actually in the box really, for how to put the unit together. It's pretty self-explanatory. So now what we're going to do is hook it up, test it out on the good old 4runner. She's been needing a bath, as you can tell, for quite some time. And we're going to test out some of the features of this unit. It has a soap reservoir that it'll automatically pull from. So far, from what I can see on the unit, there is no way to actually turn that on or off. So if you have soap in the unit here, it will pull from it. So just kind of one of the notes to make is that if you're done using soap, or only put in just enough soap to use on the unit, otherwise, or on whatever you're washing, otherwise there's no way to turn this off, sadly, on the model. But we're gonna try it out next. Alrighty, so I really enjoy this unit. I love the ease of use that you have for it with the wheels, the way everything just is very nicely compact and able to roll away and go where you need it to. It definitely is a wonderful unit that I'm really enjoying for a few different things on it. I have to say some of my favorite things is all of your nozzle attachments just being right there, readily available at your hand. I do really like this grip on here. It's not so loose that if I move this around or jostle it, I'm worried about this falling off, but it's not so snug that when I go to remove it, I'm constantly yanking and moving around the whole unit, and it pops in real nice and easy too. The other things that I'm really enjoying about this is that this is a universal setup. So like with Karcher and a couple other popular brands, when you buy the unit itself, you have to try to come up with some way to modify the ends of it to hook on some of the most basic pressure washer attachments. So each one of the attachments just pops off or pops in using the same universal tips and bits that you would use on any other normal kind of universal branded power washer. So you can go down to any of your local stores or Walmart, what have you, and buy attachments and pieces for this unit without fearing that you have to go online and find this particular brand's version of that. And then the other issue with a lot of those attachments on some of those, like a Karcher that I used to have, is dependent on model will also dictate which attachments you can actually use, which is very annoying and very much a problem. So having that kind of putting your mind at ease and not having to worry about that is awesome. I do have a few mild gripes about the unit, such being, of course, as I had mentioned earlier, not having a button or some way of turning off the soap dispenser. There's just a little line on the side here that constantly feeds and pulls whatever you put in here. So you kind of have to gauge and just run how much soap you anticipate your unit taking. I just cut a couple little drops or little blobs of the wash and wax that I have, just some basic turtle wax product from Walmart, put it in here, just a little bit of it as you saw, and it did the whole car, and I had to kind of keep going over it a little bit until I saw it go actually back to water. And I used it also as just a pre-soak and also my pre-wash to get a lot of the dirt off so I wasn't rubbing dirt into the paint at all. One of the other gripes as well is for this line here, I have to disconnect both ends from the unit on the back as well as the handle, and then I can spool it on to the reel. The reel isn't integrated and just constantly connected, so kind of nice and kind of not at the same time. I can also swap that out for any other hose down the road and potentially connect it onto the spool if I so seem fit or needed to, which is nice. So all in all, for its price point, and that really being like the main gripes I have for the unit, this is awesome. I really love it. And it's $199.99 right now currently. It's every little bit of 2000 PSI, so it does everything you need it to. And I love that the unit itself actually turns off in between you pulling the trigger and not pulling the trigger. So as it runs is only as you pull it, and then as soon as you let go, it turns off. So you're not having a constant draw of power. You're not having it kind of amp up and then drop down, then amp up and drop down. It turns on full bore and then it turns off. So you're not having to listen to that constantly running. You're not having to worry about the unit consistently just purring in the corner until you swap cars out. If you're doing multiple cars, I'll be doing another car here in just a second, getting everything all kind of washing down the fleet, as it were. And yeah, the thing didn't fault, didn't have any issues, didn't have any leaks, and super simple. I mean, we'll touch again on that because I did say it in the beginning, but this thing to put together is an absolute breeze. You just pop on the top, a couple little bolts here and there, 2 cotter pins, I think it was 5 bolts and screws all together. It's nothing. It absolutely worked like a champ. And I would absolutely say this is well worth purchasing. And it's nice and light, takes up next to no real space. You do have to designate a little bit of space in your garage, nothing over about a 1.5 by 1.5 square foot footprint. Total height on the thing I think is close to around 3 feet. Nothing too major there. And once it's all spooled up and self-contained, you don't really have any real time that it takes to pop it all out and put it all together. One thing from the manual is that you definitely want to go through how I showed it in the original little clips you saw at the beginning of the video. So you want to have water coursing through the unit before you even plug it in or turn it on. Reason being is that as the water is running through the pump, it has less chance of burning up the pump. Otherwise, as it tries to pump the air through before it gets to the water, you have a potential of doing a lot of damage to the motor before it actually starts siphoning and pulling the water from the hose attachment. So just make sure to hook the hose up first, pull the trigger until you see water coming out, and then turn the unit on. And here, we'll give you a little sound test. So it does get loud. It is still a power or a pressure washer, but otherwise that's it. And it runs like a champ, and you would never know it's on until you pull that trigger. I really enjoy this little unit. So let me know in the comments down below if there's anything that you can think of on it or anything that you have that you would like to know about it. But this is the Bauer, give you an actual model number here, the Bauer 1E-B. It's 120 volt, 60 hertz, and 14 amps. And it is the 2000 PSI, intended for cold water only. So if you have a way to run hot water, don't run it through this unit. It's meant for only cold water or like a garden hose. Anything that you have in your house and hooked up to it or anything like that, just make sure it's only cold water going through it. But yeah, thank you all so very much. Hopefully you enjoyed that opener. This gave me more than enough time with how easy it was to move around and everything that I was able to have a little more fun with that. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And thank you all so very much for stopping by and checking it out. So have yourself a wonderful day, and thanks again.
So if there's one thing to take away from this review today, besides a great and wonderful product, is that you just can't trust no frickin' hockey players to leave you alone to have your own day.